crazy sea stories.
The Keeper of Skulls. You ever notice how every backwoods town in America's got its own ghost story? Doesn't matter if it's in the swamp, the desert, or up in some fog-choked mountain pass. There's always that one tale folks whisper about after dark. Black Hollow's no different. That's where this story takes place. Some half-dead mining town tucked between the ridges of West Virginia, where the woods seem to swallow whole highways, and even the stars don't dare shine past midnight. My uncle told me about it first. Said he'd driven through once back in the 80s and swore the road bent in ways it shouldn't, like the blacktop itself was alive. But the real story, the one I'm about to tell you, didn't happen to him. It happened to a group of kids one fall night. 3 guys and a girl, all 20-somethings, drunk on cheap beer and braver than they had any right to be. They'd heard the same rumor passed around bars and backyards. Somewhere deep in the hollow, there's a table. Not just any table, but an altar carved out of old oak, slick with something that isn't rain, etched with scratches that look a whole lot like names. And if you find it, well, you don't walk away the same. Some say you don't walk away at all. But those kids, they thought it was just a story, a fun dare, something to laugh about on the ride home. They were wrong. They parked their beat-up Chevy by a rusted, no trespassing sign that hung crooked on its post. The air had that heavy, moldy smell, like wet leaves rotting under the soil. Place looks like shit, one of the guys Derek muttered, kicking at the dirt. Exactly, said Jake, the ringleader, which makes it perfect. We go in, find the altar, take some pics, and boom, best Halloween story ever. Emily wasn't so sure. She wrapped her jacket tight, eyes darting at the tree line. I heard folks go missing out here, she said. Like, real missing. They don't come back. Urban legends, Jake grinned. That's the point. Now come on. They shoved flashlights into their pockets and trudged into the trees. The deeper they went, the quieter it got. No crickets, no wind, just the crunch of dead leaves under their boots. Then Marcus, the quiet one, stopped dead. His light beam caught something sticking out of the dirt. A bone. Not some little squirrel femur either. Bigger. Too big. Human big. Dude, Marcus muttered, his voice shaking. That's probably a deer, Jake cut him off. Don't freak. But Emily noticed the shape too. Round, smooth, hollow-eyed, a skull. Half buried, grinning up at them through the muck, and beside it, another, and another. The woods weren't empty at all. They were sitting on top of a graveyard. It took another half hour of walking before they found it. The altar. It was exactly how the stories described. An old, warped table of blackened wood, its surface carved with symbols that seemed to writhe when the flashlight beams hit them. Something sticky dripped down its sides, thick and dark, like the tree itself was bleeding. And on the center of the altar sat a stone. No, not a stone. An orb. Faintly glowing, pale white, like a dying moon trapped inside glass. Jake stepped forward, smiling. Hell yes. Told you it was real. Emily grabbed his arm. Don't touch it. But of course he touched it. The moment his fingers brushed the orb, the woods seemed to groan. The air thickened, their lights flickered, and from somewhere in the shadows a sound rose. Not wind, not an animal. Whispers, low and endless, like voices layered on top of each other, coming from every direction at once. Derek cursed and swung his light around, but there was nothing, just black trees and deeper shadows. Until one of those shadows moved. He stepped forward, or maybe floated forward, it was hard to tell. Cloaked in rotting black fabric, skeletal fingers curling around the edge of the altar like claws. His face, or what passed for a face, was nothing but bones stretched into a grin too wide for any human skull. His eyes burned red, not glowing, not shining, burning, like two pits of coal straight out of hell. And behind him, crowding the tree line, were more skulls. Dozens, all dripping red from their jaws, as though they'd been gnawing on something that still screamed. "The Keeper," Marcus whispered, voice barely audible. "It's real. Oh God, it's real." The figure leaned down over the table, skeletal hands curling around the orb. His jaw opened, and the whispers sharpened into words, though none of the kids understood the language. It was too old, too broken, like the sound of teeth grinding against stone. Then Jake laughed. Nervous, sure, but still laughing. "Nice trick, dude. Costume's badass." The Keeper turned, and every light went out. They say darkness is just the absence of light, but that night proved different. This wasn't absence. It was alive. Heavy, pressing against their chests, forcing the breath out of their lungs. Emily screamed first. Something cold had brushed her arm, wet and sharp, and when she pulled her hand back, it was covered in blood. Derek's flashlight flared back to life just long enough to show what had touched her. A hand. Not flesh. Bone, cracked and clawed, dragging itself along the ground without a body. Dozens more followed, crawling like pale spiders out of the dirt. They weren't in a graveyard, they were in a harvest, the Keeper's harvest. One by one, the kids broke. Marcus ran, tripping through the underbrush until something unseen yanked him back by the throat. His scream cut off sharp. Derek swung a branch like a bat, but the crawling hands latched onto his arms, his legs pulling him down, dragging him across the forest floor until the shadows swallowed him whole. Emily clutched Jake, sobbing, "We have to go. We have to." But Jake wasn't listening. He was staring at the orb, eyes glazed, face slack. The whispers had taken root. He stepped toward the altar, hands out, like he was sleepwalking. "Jake!" Emily shrieked. "No!" The keeper opened his skeletal palm. Jake placed the orb inside, and then he was gone. Just gone. Like the woods swallowed him in one gulp. Emily's scream echoed. They never found the kids. Cops came, sure. Dogs, search parties, all the usual. But not a single boot print or scrap of clothing turned up, like they'd never been there at all. Except, some nights if you drive through Black Hollow and kill the engine, you'll hear them. Voices drifting through the trees, calling for help, begging to go home. And if you're real unlucky, you'll see him too. The keeper. Sitting at that table with his skeletal hands folded, the orb glowing brighter than a lantern in his grip. Some say the orb holds the souls of the ones who touched it. Their faces flicker inside it, mouths open in endless screams. Others say it's worse. That the orb isn't trapping them at all, it's feeding on them. And that one night, when it's good and full, it'll crack wide open and spill those whispers into the world. All I know is, if you're hearing this story by firelight, out here in the dark, don't look behind you. Because once he knows you've heard his legend, he comes looking. And he always finds you.
Crazy Sea Stories. If you like these stories, subscribe for more.
The Whispering Water. Drellmore was the kind of village that didn't exist on modern maps. It lay deep in the heart of the Black Forest, surrounded by gnarled trees and choked undergrowth, untouched by progress, forgotten by time. Only those who were lost ever found it. The lake beside Drellmore was as dark as obsidian, its surface smooth and still as glass. No birds circled it, no fish disturbed its depths. By day, the water reflected the sky in perfect silence. By night, it whispered. The Old Ones warned of this. In hushed voices around firelight, they spoke of the monastery that once stood on the island at the lake's center, an ancient stone place where the monks prayed without rest, until the earth cracked open and swallowed them whole. No one saw it happen, but after that night the island was gone. In its place, black water and the whispers. Those who listened too long were never the same. Jonathan Harker was not a man of faith or folklore. A surveyor by trade, he'd come to Drellmore seeking solitude, to finish his book, escape the world, and heal from the grief of his wife's death. The house he bought was the last one before the lake. A lonely structure of grey stone and rotting timbers. The villagers avoided it. They crossed themselves when they passed. "You'll hear them," they said. "Stay away from the lake after dark." But Jonathan only laughed. What did he care for their ghost stories? He was a man of logic, of measure and reason, until the third week. It began just past midnight. A sound, soft, delicate, like the rustling of wet parchment. At first he thought it was the wind, but there was no wind. The trees stood frozen outside. Then came the voice. Quiet. Liquid. Jonathan. His name carried on the water. He stepped onto the porch, bare feet touching the cold wood. The lake shimmered under the moon, flat and perfect, but the voice came again, clearer. Come below. Come and see. You belong here. Something broke the surface, a pale shape, like a hand without flesh, rising slowly and sinking again. Jonathan blinked, and it was gone. Sleep would not come that night, nor the next. Each night the whispers grew bolder. Now he could hear them speaking in strange tongues, voices bubbling up from the depths like drowned monks chanting in the dark. The words curled in his ears, seeping into his mind. He found strange things at his door in the mornings. Wet footprints leading up the steps, long strands of hair on the handle, muddy, broken rosary beads, and worse. One morning, he woke to find his wife's voice among the whispers. Jonathan, help me. It's so cold down here. But his wife, Anna, was dead. Buried in London. Her voice should not be here on the wind of this forgotten lake. Unless the lake had taken her soul too. Desperate for answers, Jonathan went into the village. The old woman at the chapel, the last priestess, would not meet his gaze. You hear them now, don't you? She whispered. They've chosen you, like they chose the others. What others? He demanded. All who lived in your house before you. gone, taken into the water. The lake needs souls. It always hungers. That's why we let strangers buy that house, to feed it, so it won't take us. Jonathan felt the ground shift beneath him. The villagers had sacrificed him to the lake. Bait for the Whispers. No one in Drellmore ever left. Not alive. The priestess wept. You must leave before the full moon, or they'll drag you down like the rest. But the lake had already marked him. On the night of the full moon, Jonathan could no longer resist the pull. The lake sang to him, a chorus of hundreds of voices rising from the depths in cold, perfect harmony. He stood at the dock as the water glowed faintly from below, casting eerie light on the dead trees. Shapes gathered beneath the surface, pale faces, hollow eyes, rotting robes, all staring upward. And there, among them, floated Anna, her face white and swollen, her hand reaching toward him. "Join us," she whispered. "Forever." Something moved behind him. He turned, and the villagers stood in the shadows of the trees, watching, silent, not to help, but to witness. Jonathan stepped into the lake. The cold bit his flesh like knives. The water rose past his waist, past his chest. Hands gripped him beneath the surface, gently, lovingly, and pulled him down. His last breath escaped in a cloud of silver bubbles. The next morning the lake was silent. But the villagers knew. At dusk they saw him, or what was left of him, standing at the end of the dock, staring back at them with hollow black eyes. His skin pale, his clothes soaked and rotting. His mouth moved soundlessly until night fell. Then came the whispers. "Come below, come to the quiet, come to the dark." His voice joined the others in the water. And one by one the lights in the cottages went out. Some by choice, some by force. Soon the village of Drellmore would be empty, the lake filled with the souls of those who once walked its shores, whispering forever beneath the black water, waiting for the next stranger to find their forgotten home. For the lake is patient, and the hunger of the drowned is eternal.
Crazy Sea Stories. If you like these stories, subscribe for more.